In this episode, we talk about how the Mumbai police is now managing to retrieve stolen phones and how other cities can replicate that model. We also discuss why the Delhi High Court set aside an order that had directed the Delhi University to disclose the details of PM Modi's educational degree. But we begin today by talking about the 50% US tariffs that came into effect yesterday. Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Indian exporters are now facing one of their toughest challenges yet, with the United States deciding to impose 50% tariffs on the majority of Indian goods. These tariffs by the US, India's largest export market, include the 25% rate announced by President Trump in late July and an additional 25% announced in early August as a penalty for India's purchase of Russian oil and defense equipment. According to experts, these tariffs will impact labor-intensive goods, ranging from apparel, textiles, gems and jewelry to shrimps, carpets and furniture, many of which are likely to become unviable in the American market and jeopardize thousands of low-skilled jobs in India. In this segment, we bring you a conversation we recorded earlier this month with the Indian Express's Ravi Mishra when these tariffs were first announced. Ravi, 50% tariffs, this is a lot. Indian exporters and the Indian government were anyway concerned about the 25% tariffs. How concerned is India right now?
So, before the tariffs were announced, I was talking to an exporter and he said that orders are on hold. US is no longer placing fresh orders because there's concern that, once new tariffs come in, the entire calculation will be of no use. And exporters were expecting perhaps a 10 or 15% additional duty. But when Trump announced 25%, it came as a shocker for not only the exporters, but also experts, but also, the officials, because nobody anticipated such a steep tariff. And it is not about oil. And it is essentially about pressurizing India to sign a deal, because now Trump is more aggressive. He has signed a deal with European Union. He has signed a deal with Japan, South Korea. Now he has nothing to fear. And India is one large economy which has not yet kind of signed the dotted lines. So now the tariff gun is on India's head.
And just for the benefit of our listeners, this 50% tariff is higher than what the US has imposed on Vietnam and Bangladesh, and it's even higher than what it has imposed on China. So what questions does this raise about India and US ties, especially considering that it has been one of India's major trading partners? It is a strategic ally. But now, and despite the bonhomie we had seen between Trump and PM Modi, we are now being threatened with some of the highest tariffs.
Yeah, so, the day he announced these tariffs, the August one, when the new tariffs were announced, things still seemed like it is about the trade deficit. But when you are taking it to oil, you're essentially threatening us with higher inflation. You're threatening us with, our ability to decide where we import oil from, how do we conduct our own matters of our own economy. So things have gotten more political than economic. And this is the sense that I'm getting from experts, not only in India, across the board. And why it is essentially surprising is because when the US president was elected, even his bureaucrats or people close to him, they essentially believed that India is a strategic ally to counter China. And this featured in a number of documents that US had released. So that is one of the reasons why it's absolutely a surprise. Number two, I don't believe India-US ties hinges on Trump. There is a lot of economic integration over the years that has happened, not just in the merchandise goods sector, it has happened in the service sector. Far more than goods, there is integration in services. There are large US companies working in India. Apple is producing iPhones. And so our interests are aligned in a lot of fashion, and I believe this is a negotiating tactics because Trump requires one more big victory.
And this economic coercion to achieve geopolitical goals, how effective has it been for the US in the past? And also, how frequently does it use this approach?
We wrote a story on this. Former RBI Governor Urjit Patel, he did a study on the unseen impacts of sanctions. And according to his analysis, the US has imposed 3 times more sanctions than any other international body, let alone a country. So it is kind of the sanctioner in chief. I mean, it's not the first time US is deciding to impose a barrier on one country. It has done it with Venezuela, it has done it with Iran. And some of these countries have been vital for us. For instance, small things. Iran used to buy a lot of tea from us, and now because the trade has kind of slowed, we are not able to sell as much tea as we would have wanted to. And there are multiple investments. For instance, Chabahar port in Iran. India had invested heavily there. But because of those sanctions, we don't know how much money we lost. And there's no public account for it, or there's no transparency or, conversation going on. So this is essentially what Urjit Patel was talking about. These sanctions have had a lot of impact on us, and that is why it is time for us to look at BRICS and Asian development banks, just so as to de-risk ourselves. We cannot rely on one country for our economic future.
And in the beginning of this conversation, you had mentioned China. And China, of course, also trades with Russia. It is in fact the largest buyer of Russian oil. So has this latest executive order by the US mentioned China at all?
It did not explicitly mention China, but it hints that US officials will now produce a report or report back to the president on countries that are buying Russian oil, and then essentially things will move forward from there. But it's no news that China is the biggest buyer of Russian oil. It is one of the biggest buyer of Iranian oil. And what at the moment is a problem for Trump is that he cannot stand up to China. He can squeeze us because he has seen our weak points. He has realized during negotiations that agriculture is a red line, that is a sensitive area, and he's pressing. But with China, he doesn't have that kind of leverage. And every other country other than China has pretty much given in to his demands.
And from the negotiation point of view, of course, this puts India in a very tough spot. Right now, what are the things that it is not willing to compromise on?
So at the moment, agriculture is the most sensitive thing. And it's not just for the US. We have not opened our agri market for any other trade partner, be it Australia, be it UK, be it perhaps also for European Union. So we have not done it in the past because essentially Indian farmers have smaller land holdings, and all these developed countries have strong subsidies that they offer to the farmers. They have technical support, and that makes a huge difference in their production, their genetically modified products. And once you allow such competition to come in, how are you going to ensure that our farmers, their livelihood? And that has been the case for the last several years, and that has not changed. And according to what Prime Minister said, no matter what the cost is, India will continue to protect its farmers.
And next we turn to a problem faced by thousands of people around the world. Picture this. You're on your way to work, waiting at the metro or the local train platform. The train arrives, you step in, and suddenly something feels off. You notice your pocket feels lighter, and then it hits you. It's the weight of your phone that's now missing. Mobile phone theft is unfortunately a very common problem. And what makes it worse, of course, is knowing that the chances of ever recovering the phone are extremely low. But this, it seems, is now changing, at least in Mumbai. And this is because the Mumbai police are now prioritizing the recovery of missing phones and have found a way to retrieve them without even leaving the police station. So, to find out how they're doing this, we are joined by the Indian Express's Mohamed Thaver, who reports on crime for the paper. Mohamed, forget Mumbai. I mean, if your phone gets stolen in any city or town, the chances of you getting it back have been remarkably low, right?
Yes, that's true, because when it comes to police stations and cops, recovering a stolen mobile phone is quite low on their priority, if not the lowest. And they have a reason that they say is valid, because they claim that, let's say, a person comes in and he has a mobile phone of, let's say, 6,000 rupees, and that phone is stolen. Then they would trace the numbers and things like that. And if they find that the mobile from Mumbai, the person is in UP. So they claim that if we have to send a team of 4 officers to UP, go to that person's house, recover that phone and come back. So let's say they are like, yeah, we will end up spending 20,000, 25,000 to recover a phone of 6,000. And hence they would say, ki boss, it is not worth it, is the logic that cops would generally give. So unless it's something very expensive or unless you know somebody or something, they would take a complaint. It was just treated as, that they give us a complaint and you just needed to show it to get a new SIM card connection. It was as simple as that. At some point, if you call the higher ups, you may get an FIR registered, or they don't even register an FIR. They'll just give you a noting based on which you can get a new SIM card. So for them, stolen mobile phone has hardly ever been of any importance.
Right, and apart from the resources they'll have to put in, a lot of police officers simply tell you that, we have bigger problems to solve. We have murder cases, rape cases, bigger thefts. This is not our priority. So how come Mumbai police have decided to change that? How are they able to do this?
Right. Actually, to be fair, what has been a game changer when it comes to mobile phones is this portal that the Department of Telecommunications has started, which is basically called CEIR, which is Central Equipment Identity Register. This was started in 2019. So what they did is at some level, they also realized that a lot of these, for example, even in terror cases, in major crimes also, these stolen mobile phones are used. So they know that while it is a small problem, but it is used in major crimes as well. So they did realize that there is something that has to be plugged. So with CEIR, which was launched in 2019, it really gave police, if the police was interested in tracing these phones, it really gave them a good tool.
Right, and tell us, how is the CEIR helping them retrieve stolen phones? Because tracking, I suppose, is one thing, but how do you get it back?
So I'll explain to you how it works. So CEIR again is a registry which is also open for the common citizen. So for example, tomorrow, even if you lose a phone, you can go to CEIR, just Google CEIR, and there you have to put in details. You will require your IMEI number, which if you have, in most cases, it is there on the box of the mobile phone that if you've purchased, if you have the box of the phone, or even online, you can, there are ways to find out the IMEI number of your phone. So you can yourself go on to CEIR, fill in the details, put in the IMEI number. So the first thing that it does is that it blocks your phone, which means that the guy cannot use your SIM card to do anything illegal. So it blocks your phone, which is the first preventive measure. Secondly, the way CEIR works is that what then happens is that your SIM card is blocked. As soon as a new SIM card, if a person who has stolen it or if a person who has picked it up, whatever, the person realizes that, okay, this SIM card is not working. She removes the SIM card, puts in another SIM card. As soon as a new SIM card is entered into the phone, the CEIR portal will ping and it will give you the new SIM card number. Okay. Usually in most cases, very few citizens do that. Mostly jo cops fill in karte hai. So they will get a ping that, okay, this phone that you had recorded missing, this IMEI number, every mobile phone has only one IMEI number. So it will say that, okay, this IMEI number mein, this new SIM card has been added and it also gives you the SIM card number. So then what cops do is as soon as they receive a ping, like I saw it live, they just call up on that number. And if the person answers, they tell him that, boss, this is a stolen phone. We have a complaint registered and you come and hand over this phone or we will come and arrest you.
But Mohammed, for example, if I've stolen a phone and I put a new SIM card and I start getting these calls, can't I just ignore them? Why will I pick up the calls and talk to the police?
True. You can see, but what also happens, I'll tell you the way why it is also effective is that most probably when people who steal it or who pick it up, ki koi dekh nahi raha, le lo, the normal thing that they do is they will keep the phone shut for 5 months, 6 months. And they think by then the trouble is gone. So when you then put in your SIM card or you put in a new SIM card, and see, the cops also don't immediately call. They'll call in a day or two. So then it's just an unknown number for you. So a lot of times you may not know. And if you don't answer, then they also send a message. Okay. Like I'll give you how I saw it happen in real time. So see, one is the portal and second is the addition that the cops have made to suit their requirements. So this is something that they have done. Ki chalo phone kiya nahi uthaya. They have an automated message which is just sent on WhatsApp and normal messaging saying that this number with this IMEI, there's a complaint at this police station, come and return it. If you don't, an FIR will be registered and we'll arrest you. So the message is going to reach you that your phone is being tracked even if you don't answer the phone.
And so how effective has this strategy been for them? How many more phones have they got back through this process?
It has been very effective. So I'll give you an example. So, the way I went about doing the story, I'd gone to meet a contact in the Pantnagar police station and I was just sitting with him. He was in charge. So in every police station, they have made one person in charge. And I was sitting with him. So uske table pe 3-4 courier passes pade the. So I said, kya hai ye? So he said, mobile phone hai. So I said, what, you're couriering mobile phone? He said, no, these are mobile phones. This one person has sent it from UP. This person has sent it from Jalgaon. So I said, stolen phones, wo log bhej rahe. So he said, haan, wo log bhej rahe. So then I'm like, okay. And then for the hour and a half I was sitting with him, there was this one family, this man, his wife and his daughter who came very sheepishly. And they said they had received a message. हमको message आया था कि ये phone देना है वापस. तो हमने गलती से उठा लिया था. And then he would check the IMEI number. He would find the complaint. Then he would say next time ऐसा गलती से उठाना मत. And then he would keep the phone. And in some cases, if he suspects that okay, no, this person is a history cheater, इसका पहले का भी record होगा, then they may also register an FIR. But normally a history cheater will not come to return it. So most people who are returning it, he knows are people जिन्होंने देखा मोबाइल उन्होंने उठा लिया. नियत नेक नहीं थी, but they are not professional thieves. So also these guys have realized कि okay, if such people, if we give them an option कि भाई देखो हम ट्रैक कर रहे हैं, हम अरेस्ट नहीं करेंगे, कुछ नहीं होगा, बट मोबाइल दे दो. So 7 or 8 out of 10 people come and return it. Of course, if you are a thief, you will not, because तुम्हारा तो पहले ही record है, so you are not scared of another FIR. See, for the cops, they don't register an FIR. The long legal process does not take place. Okay, one. For the person who's lost the phone, he does not have to go for trial. He needs his phone, he gets his back. For the person who's not like a history cheater, उसको लगता है चलो दे दो और खत्म करो. So that's the reason this entire thing has been working very effectively.
Okay, so the police in these cases is using their discretion, whether to file an FIR or not, because people who don't have a history sheet, as you said, a lot of the times they're letting them go.
Yeah, yes. And it was so comical in the sense because I was sitting there, I could see. So in one case, this woman came with her 2 daughters. Okay. वो बोली मेरी बेटी को मैंने ट्यूशन से लाया है. एंड ये फोन मैंने किधर गई थी मैं, वहां पे पड़ा हुआ मिला तो मैं बहुत ढूंढी, बट nobody was around to see it. So then I thought, okay, I'll just pick it up because I couldn't find anyone. So in a lot of these cases, you see these people, first, it is very unusual. You think, okay, somebody has stolen my phone. But a lot of times people, like this, just get an opportunity and they pick up phones. So it is mainly also for such people. So she came and she was like, so he said, you realize that, right? You just can't pick up somebody's phone. If you can't find anyone, you just go to the local police station, you just leave it. How can you take it with you? So obviously the officer also knew that her intention was not very this. She wanted to pick it up, but there's no point registering an FIR against her. Like, you've got the phone back. So in that sense, it also works. In a lot of cases, when they call up the person, that person abuses them. Like, he called one person in front of me and that person said, "Arey, mere ko phone mat karo," ye abused them, switched off the phone. He said, see, this I suspect is a person who is a thief. Matlab, he will go to buses, pickpocket karega, ye karega, wo karega. So they are as it is on the run. So for them, it doesn't matter. Then they'll just realize that, okay, then they'll come up with some other hack. But for a lot of people who are not generally into this thing, he said in some cases, we also have found people who have done such things in the past and we then also place them under arrest in some cases. But he said in majority of the cases, he said you'll find this only. The person will come with his family members so that, it gives an impression that, bhai, my family man hu. Like, of the 3 people that came, this guy who came with his wife and 2 little children. So they deliberately also come with the entire family to show that, boss, see, I'm not a thief kind of a thing, So it was quite interesting to see the entire process unfold in person.
And like you said, the CEIR tool is available to everyone, right? So how come only Mumbai police is using it? Can't this happen in other places as well?
So basically, while CEIR is available across the country, what also happens is in a lot of commissionerates, while the facility is there, they're still in the old ways of thinking wherein they think mobile phone kyun ye karna hai. But with Mumbai police, thankfully, like earlier from September 2019 to June 2025, they used to recover 6 phones a day. Since June, when they put in a system in place, they recover 125 phones a day. 125. So what they've done is they've streamlined the process. In every police station, they've given one person who's responsible for that. They've made the zonal DCPs responsible for that. If recovery is not good in a particular police station, they're pulled up that why is it not happening with you? So in a way, I mean, credit to Mumbai police that you had this portal there, but not every police commissionerate is doing that, but these guys have really taken it and made it streamline the process. And now, the cops don't have to step out. Stolen phones are just coming into the police station. So in that sense, CEIR is there. You have resources, but if you're not inclined to work, you will still not do. So in that case, also credit to them that they've taken it, they've streamlined the entire process and now they're just bearing fruits of it.
And finally, we talk about the educational degree of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Earlier this week, the Delhi High Court set aside an order that had directed the Delhi University to disclose details of Modi's degree. This information had been sought through multiple RTI applications, and back in 2016, the Central Information Commission had ordered the inspection of records of students who passed the BA program in 1978, the year Modi graduated from DU with a bachelor's degree. And this is the order that the Delhi High Court has put aside. When we spoke to the Indian Express's Sohini Ghosh, she told us the reason behind it.
What the Delhi High Court has essentially held is that Prime Minister Modi's degrees he has the right to privacy. Secondly, also the court has observed that mark sheets, degrees, etc., all these kind of information related to academic records is held by a university in a fiduciary capacity. And given that DU's own mandate and own statutes requires where the university is obligated to give its results exclusively through official mark sheets, transcripts, etc. to the concerned students, and there's no per se provision which indicate issuing of results to the public. Taking this into account, the court has ultimately basically ruled that, the degrees can't be made public. So there's the fiduciary relationship that's weighing in, that combined with your right to privacy, and third, there not being any public interest being served by one student's mark sheets, degrees, etc.
And Sohini, this argument regarding right to privacy, for example, in journalism, we have a different standard for respecting someone's privacy when they are a layperson versus when they are a public figure. And one would argue that the Prime Minister is the most public figure in the country. So how does the court see this distinction?
So how the court weighed in here was, would publication of such a degree or mark sheet, making it public, would that really serve any public interest? And the court basically answered this question in the negative. Because as per the university's own submissions, they had apparently made the degree mark sheets public long back, and there has been much discussion, much dissection of those degrees over the years. So that public interest has already been served. Anything beyond that is a fishing and roving inquiry, is what the university had told High Court, and that argument the High Court has also accepted pretty much verbatim.
And Sohini, this is not the first time that someone is seeking information about the Prime Minister's degree, right? People also sought this information from the Gujarat University.
Correct. In fact, in a similar order by the CIC, it had also asked Gujarat University, where Prime Minister Modi had purportedly completed his master's degree from, to disclose the details of degree and mark sheets. And in a similar fashion, in 2023, the Gujarat High Court had basically quashed and set aside the order of the CIC. So in that case, Gujarat University had practically moved a petition against the then CIC commissioner. In this case, DU moved the petitions against the respective RTI applicants who had sought the details of the mark sheet degree. But yeah, the conclusion was more or less the same back then. And there was, of course, weightage given to the fact that there's a fiduciary relationship as well as right to privacy. And one aspect that, however, this verdict throws is, where does the fiduciary relationship start and end, and where does your right to privacy come in? So, for example, if there are public servants who are, for example, facing some disciplinary proceedings departmentally, internally, will that then get covered under right to privacy, on the pretext that because it's an ongoing investigation, we can't reveal anything because the right of privacy of the individual will be violated? So that is one aspect which a lot of RTI activists are also now raising after this judgment from the Delhi High Court. Although this can be gone for a review, and again, re-inspected. But broadly, given how the Gujarat High Court has already ruled and the existing judgments that has been relied upon to come to this conclusion, it seems very unlikely that the broader outcome will change. But it does put a question on how do we balance right to privacy with fiduciary relationship and public interest? Because here, for example, the public interest, it was ruled that there is no public interest. But who gets to decide what is the public interest? Is it one person at a court, or is it the public there? So that is something that needs to be looked at.
You were listening to Three Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.